I play a lot of games, so I figured I would end each month talking about my favorite games that I played. And you can call me off-brand Raspbian all you want, but it's just a compliment really. The game that I've played the most, and has recently become one of my favorite games, has been Rainworld. More specifically, the Downpour DLC. The thing that makes this game so special is its complexity. But unlike a game like Terraria, where its complexity comes from the sheer number of items and weapons in the game, and the wiki is literally needed on a second monitor to figure out how to craft anything needing more than 2 items, Rainworld's complexity comes from its AI. The artificial intelligence in Rainworld is something unlike any other game I've played, not only from the way enemies react to the player, but to how they react to the world. In Rainworld, it's not you versus the world, it's the world versus the world. And every enemy has their own enemies. Take the lizards for example. They could be trying the hardest to bite at your feet, but when a vulture comes down, they'll sacrifice everything to run away as fast as they can. But all these complex mechanics and artificial intelligence are all for world building. Rainworld isn't a game, it's an ecosystem. I think what makes this game quote unquote realistic as an artificial ecosystem is that the AI isn't perfect. The creatures in Rainworld will have little hiccups from time to time. They make mistakes. And for a system that's attempting to recreate a real-life ecosystem, imperfection is the closest thing we have to realism. Now, since I am talking about complexity, I could mention all the insane movement tech and all the other mechanics in the game, or I could even go over the story. But with only 50 hours on the game right now, I can't even begin to wrap my head around everything. I'll let you know once I complete all the campaigns. I then started playing the hardest survival game I've ever picked up, Project Zomboid. Now, Project Zomboid is probably the most difficult, soul-crushing, gut-wrenching survival game ever, of all time. But it's so fun. Zomboid is one of the only games I've played that does realism well enough that it isn't a detriment to the player. Most games that attempt to simulate some sort of sense of realism usually go too far, and it just ends up being a clusterfuck of things you need to keep track of, and every key of your keyboard being used for some super specific action. And personally, I tend to stay away from this type of gameplay, but one thing about Project Zomboid just grabs me, and that is its unpredictability. There are so many things that can go right when you're playing a game, but also so many things that can go wrong. With all the specific mechanics and options at your disposal for every situation, you can be getting chased by a horde, but if you play your cards right and with a little loot RNG, you can somehow manage to come out unscathed. Like on my first run of Project Zomboid, I was running around like a headless chicken before hopping in a car. I thought it was all over, so I decided to search around until I found the keys in the gut blocks. So I put them in, drove away, and I was free. Until I drove into a lamppost at 150 kilometers per hour. But you get what I mean. The amount of options you have and all the items to control makes it so you're always searching and doing something in Project Zomboid. But a lot of the things you do just make sense in a realistic standpoint, so it doesn't ever become overwhelming. Project Zomboid just really gives a sense of precariousness and dread without feeling completely impossible. And plus, it's pretty fun to mow down hordes of zombies. Once Valentine's Day came around, so did the release of DRG Survivor. This is a spin-off single-player roguelike from Deep Rock Galactic, and for the longest time, I've been so hyped for a DRG roguelike. Especially as a fan of Vampire Survivors, I easily found DRG perfect for just a chill, mind-numbing game to play while I watch a show or a YouTube video on my second monitor. Being a sort of spin-off, there's a lot that has been taken from the original game. All of the 4 classes are present, albeit looking a little different, but the way all the weapons and grenades for the classes have been transported over into the auto shooter gameplay of Survivor actually works really well. Plus, there's also a few completely new weapons to try out. But probably the greatest integration is the higher focus on mining and collecting minerals. I'm so glad that the best gameplay mechanic from the first game is also the biggest focus in this game. The gameplay really is just DRG from bird's eye view. Now, since this is meant to be based more off Vampire Survivors, it's honestly quite genius how they merged many of the mechanics and items into this new gameplay loop. In Vampire Survivors, once your weapons and items reach a certain level, you'd be able to unlock weapon evolutions. And in DRG Survivor, this is basically the same as unlocking the overclocks in that game. Also, in the main menu, you can permanently upgrade a specific stat in use for future runs. But in DRG, they also had the mineral trade terminal, which is just such a nice touch. DRG Survivor is a game for both fans of Vampire Survivors and other roguelikes, but also for fans of classic DRG. And since it is still a recent release, there is so much more content to be added, such as more enemies, more maps, and more weapons. I'm hyped to see where this game goes. Then, I played Soma. I picked this game up in late January for about $5 during a random sale, and I figured it would be, a fun horror adventure game. I didn't realize this game would end up being the most thought-provoking and impactful game I've played in the past year. Soma, a noun meaning the parts of an organism other than the reproductive cells, or the body, as distinct from the soul, mind, or psyche. Now, for this video, I won't be speaking about Soma in depth, simply including tidbits and how the game made me feel, but I am planning on hopefully making a full video about this game in the future, so I would insist, in order to avoid spoilers, perhaps consider skipping this portion of the video. Soma is set in the year 2104, where the Earth is now a disheveled wasteland, and the only place capable of sustaining life is an underwater research facility called Pathos 2. Here, the last hope for Earth is stored, the Ark, created to store the minds and conscience of humans and simulate them in an artificial world. In the game, you play as Simon Jarrett, who somehow wakes up inside this underwater facility, and you are tasked with launching the Ark into space through the guidance of a robot with the conscience of a human named Catherine. Throughout the game, as you navigate through the different areas, you grasp what is really going on. Soma brings up so many morality questions for the player as they navigate the many areas of the game, and there are so many memorable choices that you need to decide on that are truly frightening to think of in a realistic standpoint. Specifically, one of the puzzles where you need to collect a security cipher to enter a new room. However, the only person with this information is a Dr. Wan. It can only be accessed through a simulation of his brain scan. Through trial and error, you must find the right set of environments for him to feel like he is not in a simulation in order for him to speak. But through starting a new simulation, previous one needs to be closed, virtually killing a version of one every single time. You eventually find that in order for him to feel safe enough to speak, you must project Catherine's voice through a simulation of his girlfriend, Alice. Once he gives you the security cipher, you once again close the simulation and are given the choice to either delete his conscience forever or leave him on the hard drive, stuck there, either to be forgotten or perish with the decaying world. Soma presents many of these situations throughout its world, giving the player the choice of right or wrong. However, neither is correct nor incorrect. The weight of these choices hang in the air throughout your playthrough until, for the ending of the game, you experience it for yourself.
Still here. I'm still here. Catherine? Catherine?
I'm here.
What the hell happened? What went wrong?
Nothing. They're out there, among the stars. We're here.
No. We were getting on the Ark. I saw it. It finished loading just before it launched.
Yeah, I saw.
Then why are we still here?
Simon, I can't keep telling you how it works. You won't listen. You know why we're here. You were copied onto the Ark. You just didn't carry over. You lost the coin toss. We both did. Just like Simon at Omicron, just like the man who died in Toronto 100 years ago.
No. This is bullshit. We came all this way. We launched the Ark.
I know it sucks, but our copies are up there. Catherine and Simon are both safe on the Ark. Be happy for them.
Are you crazy? We're gonna die down here with those fuckers living at large on a spaceship. They're not us. They're not us.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Simon. I'm proud of what we did. We made sure that something of the hundreds of thousands of years of human history survives, that something lives on.
No. Fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck you, Catherine. You lied. And I believed in you. I trusted you. You said we're getting on the fucking Ark.
We are on the Ark, you idiot. I didn't lie. I can't be responsible for your goddamn ignorance.
Fuck! Catherine? Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?
See, as the recently scanned version of Simon joins the others into the Ark, the version, or at least one of the versions of Simon that you have experienced throughout the game, stays down on Earth, alone, and you as the player get to experience how both versions of Simon's story ends. As I let the credits run, I was silent, and only few pieces of media have made me feel something like that before. Soma is truly something outstanding. Don't forget to check out the Discord server and my Twitch in the description. Thank you. I love you. Bye bye.